mentioned that Christy Martinez is guest co-hosting with us today, and what's very interesting is that she has a podcast titled The X Chronicles that she mentioned earlier, where it follows the life and times of you, Christy, growing up as an Afro-Latina creatress. So tell us more of this behind this, because you grew up in Harlem where times have changed over the years and so forth.
Definitely.
Like, go ahead, tell us.
So the X Chronicles follows the life and times of me, Christy X, and it talks about Harlem and the up-and-coming changes that are happening in Harlem. We're talking about gentrification. We're talking about cultural genocide. We're talking about displacement. We're talking about a lot of hard topics that are hitting my community, communities of color, Black and brown communities, like I talked about immigration, being a daughter of immigrants. But it's also from the lens of somebody who's creating, because I want to leave the audience with a sense of hope. It's not just about the hard things that are happening in life. It's about giving people a sense of independence, July 4th theme. Giving them a sense of creative freedom, because no matter what, at the end of the day, you still have a voice. And that's the gift that nobody can take away from you, no matter what. So the X Chronicles follows me, Christy X Martinez, and the X is commemorative of Malcolm X, because you know. That's the real brother right there. And really the aim of the work is just to create space for all the daughters and the sons of the diaspora to speak, to talk about things that affect them. It's really not just about what I like, it's really about what other people like, because I love to see myself growing based on what other people come and like bring the energy to the show.
I noticed that. I heard your first episode, and I also noticed that, you know, you call it the X, you know, like you're in a new point in your life, and you also mentioned Malcolm X and everything, so I really liked it and I enjoyed it. Who really inspired you to really make your own podcast?
There's not a particular person. I feel as though I'm inspired by the time. It just feels like there's a sense of urgency for us to speak up, for us youth to speak up. I'm inspired by every different group, because every group brings value, from the youth to the elders in the community to us in the middle, adults, my family, people who are struggling to get into America, Black and brown people that are struggling through violence. Like, there's every group of person that inspires me to do the work that I'm doing.
That's beautiful. Wow, you inspired me just hearing you.
Yes, and you know, I just, you know, for me, learning from you, Chrissy, growing up as an Afro-Latina, I'm just curious, what does being Afro-Latina mean to you, in your opinion?
It means everything to me, David. Really, Afro-Latinism wasn't something that was like highlighted up until recent times. It really gave me a sense of identity, because I felt neither Latina, nor American. Because, you know, here in America, I'm not considered American, and in Latin America, nor am I considered a Latina. So that identity of being an Afro-Latina, it gave me that understanding of my African roots, my Black roots and my lineage, but also in conglomeration with my Spanish-speaking relatives, my Spanish culture, my Latino culture. So it really just kind of created a space, not just for me, but so many other people like me who identify as Afro-Latinos, to just say, we have a space and we're home. This is where we belong.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and I was reading a little bit about your narrative, where you talk about Dominicanish. The support commemoration, where you mentioned about Dominicanish was the first annual Dominican Writers Conference, was a powerful display of matriarchy. It's hard to pronounce. I don't usually speak too much Spanish, but it's like, I do, but it's like, what came to the point of you coining the term Dominicanish? Because it sounds familiar, like if we watch shows from like Blackish or Grownish. So
I cannot take credit for Dominicanish. That is Josefina Baez, who is a Dominican creatress. She's a Dominican artist. She is a multidimensional Dominican creator. So if you're really interested in getting the history of Dominicanish, you will go and look up Josefina Baez's work. I cannot take credit for that. That piece is actually me writing about the first annual Dominican Writers Conference, where Josefina Baez was honored. So I can't take credit. Of course, that's her terminology and her phrasing. And it actually, interestingly, came before Blackish was a show. So that's something else. But yeah, Dominicanish is really just about being Dominican-ish. Like, I'm Dominican, but I'm also from America, and I speak Spanglish, so where do I really belong?
Right, you got a little bit of different things in you, like a little, you got a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Right, a little sazon, a little bit of spice, and so it comes from all the different kind of amalgamations of what makes an Afro-Latino or a Dominican-ish kind of person.
Yes, you have to teach me how to do Spanish, because whenever I try to speak it, both of us, but whenever I try to speak it, I get a tongue twister coming out of me.
I know, like the basics.
It fails, you know?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Stuff like that.
Yeah, see, you got it. You got it.
Really?
At least Crystal got it.
Yeah, you got it too. Say something, David. Say, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
See, you got it.
You see, you got the accent.
It depends on what I'm saying, because you never know if I might just bleep out a curse word or something.
Oh, no.
All right, but anyway, look.
I have one more question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years with your podcast?
Well, the podcast is really just the tip of the iceberg because I have so much more work. I have a magazine, that, like my blog that's converting itself into a magazine. I have the podcast, and I have so much other things that I'm working on and doing. In the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to be out here in the world creating change, doing social justice work, and, elevating the people. Really, like, that's my mission, to elevate the people through art and justice. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter where I'm at if I can't bring along the community that did so much to raise me, Harlem, the Dominican community, people of color, like women of color, like that's really where I'm at. So leading thought innovator and visionary of my generation and just doing the work.
Yes.
Wow,
now,
so powerful.
Within those 5 to 10 years, Christy, can we appear on your podcast?
Hell yeah.
Yes, bring us on, right?
Let's
I would have a lot
it.
to say.
But that's community work, so of course, of course.
Thank you for bringing us on our podcast, okay?